Hey guys, what's going on? It's Vic here, back with another Madden 20 video, and today we're obviously going to be rebuilding the Chicago Bears. And I know you guys are probably thinking, you already did the Chicago Bears, it was your first rebuild, but that was terrible. It was like a 45-minute long video of just unedited clips. It was just overall a bad video. We didn't even make it past the wild card round. Cody Parkey'd it. So this is our coach name, and I'm trying to keep it similar to my first rebuild with the Bears, with like Saquon Barkley and all that stuff, so that way you guys get the best experience of what I was trying to do my first rebuild. But apart from that, it's time to get into the rebuild. And here we are with the overlook of the team, as we have Nick Foles as our quarterback, who is paid way too much right now because they took on the cap from the Jacksonville Jaguars. We have Mitch Trubisky. We're going to look to move on to both of them, but I'm going to start Mitch Trubisky. We have Allen Robinson here, a great superstar receiver, solid O-line. Tight end does need improvement. Defensive-wise, D-line does look pretty good. I'm probably going to move to a 4-3, and this D-line actually does look solid again. And we have Khalil Mack attack right here. Edge threat, Rich Elite, and unstoppable force are his abilities. And Kyle Fuller, I'll probably look to trade him because he takes up a lot of cap. Team looks overall pretty good, but apart from that, it is time to get into the trades. Here we are with the first trade, as we are trading our right outside linebacker Kyle Fuller and a first and a second and a first next year from the Kansas City Chiefs. Next, we have our quarterback Nick Foles, our right tackle, and a second round pick for Saquon Barkley, who I did mention earlier will stay on the Chicago Bears for this rebuild. And next, we have our middle linebacker Tariq Cohen and our left tackle Leno Jr. for a first this year and a fourth this year as well from the Miami Dolphins. And this is what the team looks like after the trades, as we do have Saquon Barkley, as I did mention before, 20-star X Factor, wearing number 34, just like Walter Payton, with evasive and backfield master, and first one's free. So overall, amazing running back, but we're going to have to look into getting a better QB. Mitch Trubisky's development doesn't upgrade by this year. I will gladly remove him from this team, but again, I'll probably switch to a 4-3 off camera. No, I'll just do it right now on camera. It doesn't really matter that much, but going to go with the best percentage for schemes, and don't want a 3-4. Tampa 2 usually always works for me. 4-3 cover seems pretty good at 84%, so we'll keep it at that. Everything else looks good on this team to me. Defensive backs do need improvement. I know I just traded away Kyle Fuller, but it's okay. So apart from that, guys, I think it would be time to get into the midseason mark. And here we are at the midseason mark, as we are coming off a loss to the LA Chargers, and we are 2-5, about to play the Philadelphia Eagles, and we are third in the division. And we have some players to re-sign as well, such as Deshaun Gibson, senior, strong safety. Don't really have much interest in him. He is star development, but again, just don't have much interest in him. Punter there. We don't need anyone else here. And apart from that, I think it'd be time to get into the playoffs. And here we are on the playoffs, coming off a win to the Minnesota Vikings. I don't know why I'm blanking out, but we finished 7-9, third in the division, above the Minnesota Vikings. Mitch Trubisky had a terrible year. It seems like a Mitch Trubisky thing to do, and overall, just kind of like a middle-of-the-road team, though Barkley had an amazing season. Mitch Trubisky, Barkley had an amazing season, 13 touchdowns, 1,500 yards. Anthony Miller had a great season with almost 1,000 yards. Roquan Smith with the most tackles on the team. Most tackles for a loss goes to 13 for Khalil Mack. Most sacks, 20.5 for Khalil Mack. Jeez, man. Interceptions, 3 for Jalen Johnson. That's my bad. Safeties, 1, and defensive touchdowns, 0. So apart from that, guys, I think it would be time to get into the offseason. So let's get into it. Here we are in the offseason, as the Saints losing the Super Bowl to the Pittsburgh Steelers in Super Bowl 54. Deshaun Gibson is here, regressed hard, and everyone else here I don't have an interest for, including Mitch Trubisky. And we don't even have the money to sign him, probably because of all the dead cap from trading away players, which isn't a surprise to me, but we look forward to the future and rebuilding this team, looking into the team to see if there's any development upgrades. I would hope Anthony Miller did get one, but he didn't. Don't really see any of it, so apart from that, it is time to get into free agency. And here we are on the free agency, as we are negative $6 million in cap. So as you guys can tell, we can't really re-sign anyone because of the dead cap. So all I got to say to this is I think it would be time to get into the draft. And here we are after the draft, as we did slightly improve the O-line in later rounds. We don't have a QB, though, so the CPU will probably have to sign one. And defensively, we did get an outside linebacker and a defensive back, which are big parts to this. We do need a strong safety as well, which is a desperate need. But apart from that, I think it would be time to get into the midseason mark. Here we are at the midseason mark, coming off a win to the Green Bay Packers, as we are 5-2. Okay, what kind of quarterback did we sign? That's kind of interesting. But we're atop the division above the 5-2 Minnesota Vikings as well, and we have players to resign such as Allen Robinson here, who has superstar development, 88 overall. Gonna want a huge contract, but it is worth it because we can't really find superstar receivers every day. Probably can pick up the kicker in free agency for a lot cheaper. So apart from that, it is time to get into the playoffs. Here we are in the playoffs, coming off of the loss to the Carolina Panthers, as we did not make the playoffs, even though we were 5-2 at the midseason mark, but we are 7-9, so that seems like a pretty hard drop off. But Brock Osweiler was our quarterback. What a legend. 8th in passing yards. Really, Brock Osweiler did that. That's impressive for Brock Osweiler, but 16 interceptions is a lot. Saquon Barkley had a pretty good season. And receiving wise, Anthony Miller had an amazing season, 12 touchdowns, over 1,000 yards. Defensively, Roquan Smith with the most tackles. Most tackles for a loss goes to 18 for Akeem Hicks, and most sacks, 14.5 for Khalil Mack. Interceptions, 2 for Alonzo Sanford, the rookie. Defensive back, safeties is 0, and defensive touchdowns is 0. So apart from that, guys, I think it would be time to get into the offseason, so let's get into it. Now in the offseason, as the Baltimore Ravens beat the Saints in the Super Bowl, as the Saints make the Super Bowl back-to-back, we have players to resign such as Allen Robinson, 89 overall, superstar development. He's going to want a big contract. I think we're going to give it to him, and he does accept, and he stays. Eddie Pinheiro, I think is how you pronounce his name. I could pick him up cheaper in free agency, so I'll probably do that. But before we get into that, I'm going to look at the team to see if there's any development upgrades, as there is Anthony Miller, who does have a development upgrade, and Brock Osweiler is 70 overall now, but obviously he isn't going to be the future. And our defensive back has superstar X Factor, as Akeem Hicks did get superstar, but for some, okay, that's really lucky. 84 overall, zone hawk with unfakeable. So that's pretty cool. Superstar X Factor defensive back, way better than Kyle Fuller and way cheaper. So apart from that, I think it would be time to get into free agency. Now, before we get into free agency, I'm trading a first and a wide receiver for George Kittle, the tight end, a position we desperately need. And now it is time to get into free agency. Here we are after free agency, as we have Patrick Mahomes, and I know all of you guys are like, you use Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, literally almost every video. I know, he was in free agency, nobody was signing him. And I also ended up picking Richard Sherman, so now we have 3 superstar X Factors on the defense, and I picked up Cameron Hayward. What are you going to do about it? Sue me, I dare you. Now here we are at the midseason mark, coming off a loss to the Cincinnati Bengals, as we are about to face the 4-3 Green Bay Packers, a division rival, as we are 6-1 at the midseason mark. We have players to resign such as Akeem Hicks, who has superstar development, so I do plan to keep him around. He wants a 1-year deal, sure, I'll just give him a 2-year, even though I think the next season will be the final season, so I think that won't be that bad. Anthony Miller is here. I do want him back. He's kind of expensive, but you can't really pick up great receivers at this part of the season. He wants more money. We'll probably give it to him. James Daniels is here. We're going to re-sign him as well. He re-signs Bio Nicholas, I think it is. I feel retarded for saying his name. I'm probably not going to re-sign him. Maybe. I don't really know. I'll figure that out at the end of the season, but there's no one else here that I really even want. So apart from that, guys, I think it would be time to get into the playoffs, so let's get into it. And here we are in the playoffs, coming off a loss to the Seattle Seahawks, as we have a first-round bye, and we finished 13-3. That is the Patrick Mahomes effect, as he is 5th best in passing yards and 2nd in passing touchdowns, 4th best offense, and 4th best defense. Saquon Barkley had an amazing year as well. Patrick Mahomes, great year. Rushing-wise, Saquon Barkley, again, amazing year. Anthony Miller with over 1,000 yards and 12 touchdowns, kind of the same as the last season, so we'll probably get another development upgrade. Roquan Smith with 103 tackles for a loss, 16 for Bio Nicholas, sacks 11 for Cameron Hayward, interceptions 4 for Jalen Johnson, safeties is 0, and defensive touchdowns is 0. So apart from that, guys, I think it would be time to get into the offseason, so let's get into it. Actually, I feel dumb. It's not the offseason. It's the playoffs. So, yeah, we're here to face the Eagles. I'm sorry for being absolutely retarded. Yeah, but we are here to face the Philadelphia Eagles, division rival, who are 12-4. We're going to have home field advantage, so let's just jump straight into this. Here we are in the third quarter as it is 14-10. We are up 21-10 as well now. Third down alert, big field goal. We kick it 24-10 against the Philadelphia Eagles, 17-24. Fourth quarter, we are driving down the field. Red zone alerts. Third down, and we kick another field goal. 17-27 is your final score as we are going to move on to the conference championship. So let's get into it. Here we are at the conference championship, here to play the 9-7 Atlanta Falcons as we are 13-3, and I'm going to hop straight into this one as Matt Ryan has Superstar X Factor. Here we are in the third quarter. It is 24-14. We are driving down the field, 31-14, 21-31, and 38-21 as we continue to pour it on. It is red zone alert once again. Big field goal kick. We kick it 41-21, 28-41, and 28-41 is your final score as we beat the Philadelphia Eagles to move on to the Super Bowl. I said the Philadelphia Eagles, but I meant to say the Atlanta Falcons, so I feel dumb. Don't rage at me in the comments. But we are here to play the 9-7 Cincinnati Bengals, and this is what the team looks like before we get into it, as our team is absolutely stacked. Anthony Miller did get that development upgrade to superstar development, so I will have to re-sign him as he has slot apprentice as his superstar ability, and he is in the slot, so that is a good thing. Defensively, I don't see anything else, but this team is overall great and stacked. It's ready to go. Special teams looks the same, and apart from that, guys, I think it would be time to get into the Super Bowl with Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. Here we are in the Super Bowl against the Cincinnati Bengals as it is 17-14, and we are driving down the field, and it is 20-14 now. And as we continue to drive, well, the Bengals drove down the field, and it's 21-20, and this is a very risky situation, but it is red zone alert, 28-21. The game is on the line. They're driving down the field once again. Will they get the touchdown? They do not, as we continue to drive down the field. Punt the ball away. They're driving down. They can't get it. 28-21 is your final score against the Cincinnati Bengals as Joe Burrow and the Bengals lose to Patrick Mahomes and the Chicago Bears and to Saquon Barkley. But yes, Super Bowl champions are your Chicago Bears once again, and it's time to get into the MVP. And of course, your MVP has to be Saquon Barkley, 22 carries, 125 yards, 2 touchdowns, and his longest run was only 10 yards, which is kind of surprising. But apart from that, guys, it is time to get into the offseason. We still have one more season to go, so it's not really too big of a surprise for any of you guys that were wondering. And yeah, so let's get into it. Here we are in the offseason as we did beat the Bengals in the Super Bowl as we have players to re-sign such as Anthony Miller, who has superstar development and is an 84 overall, but I think he's an 86 overall. Yes, he is, with morale. We don't have that much money to sign him at the end of the season, so Bio Nicholas will have to say goodbye. If I'm butchering his name, don't rage at me. Anthony Miller, we're going to have to offer him this contract, then franchise tag him because he wants more money, and this is the last season, so it's okay to franchise tag him, and apart from that, it is time to get into the draft. Here we are after the draft as we skip free agency because obviously we didn't have any money because of the franchise tag on Anthony Miller, and we picked up a right end to replace Bio Nicholas, and that's really about it. And apart from that, guys, I think it'd be time to get into the midseason mark. Here we are at the midseason mark, coming off a loss to the Buffalo Bills as we are on a bye week and we are 6-2 above the Green Bay Packers. We have players to re-sign such as Saquon Barkley and all these other players, but again, just like every rebuild, it's a tradition to where I don't re-sign them in last season because I don't need to. So apart from that, it's time to get into the playoffs. Here we are in the playoffs with a first round bye, coming off a win to the Detroit Lions, and our record is 13-3. Looking into it, Patrick Mahomes had an amazing season with the most touchdowns in the league. And looking into it, who won the MVP? Josh Allen, then Patrick Mahomes at number 3. Josh Allen seems to be a pretty good Madden Sim God quarterback. I don't know why. But best QB goes to Patrick Mahomes. That doesn't really make sense. He is the best quarterback, but doesn't win the MVP. But Josh Allen does? Okay, logic. Second best offense, 17th best defense. Patrick Mahomes, again, a great year. Saquon Barkley, amazing year. Anthony Miller with an amazing year as well, so he might get Superstar X Factor, but in the Super Bowl year, but this is the last season, so it doesn't really matter too much. Roquan Smith with the most tackles for a loss, 14 for Hakeem Hicks, sacks, 11 for Khalil Mack, interceptions, 6 for Alonzo Sanford, and 6 for Alonzo Sanford. Okay, I had to go back and see that again. That's a lot. Safeties is 0. Defensive touchdowns is 0. So apart from that, guys, I think it would be time to get into the playoffs. So let's just straight up get into it. See who we're going to be playing in the divisional round. I'm probably going to simulate it, but if I make it to the AFC Championship, I will just play it because it's the AFC Championship. But we're here to play the 10-6 Arizona Cardinals to advance to the Conference Championship. If we do it, I'll probably play it. Can we do it? We do it. Finishing, I don't even know. I don't even care how much we won by. What matters is we are in the Conference Championship here to play the 12-4 Seattle Seahawks. So I'm going to jump straight into this one, and let's get straight into the game. Here we are in the third quarter as it is 28-10 against the Seattle Seahawks, and now it's 31-10 as we continue to pour it on and beat the living crap out of them. And red zone alert, 38-10. This game is well over 17-38. And third down alert, big field goal, 41-17 and 20-41. Third down alert. That will be your ball game, 20-41, as we move on to the Super Bowl once again. And here we're on the Super Bowl, here to face the 11-5 Cleveland Browns. Hopefully we can win 2 Super Bowls in a row and 2 Super Bowls in total in this entire rebuild. As we have Anthony Miller, who is Superstar X Factor, but yuck, he has first one's free as a Superstar ability. That's not very good for a receiver. I was hoping he would get like Rack 'em Up or Double Me is probably the best one. But overall, not the worst thing. Beggars can't be choosers. But apart from that, this team looks pretty good. I don't see any other development upgrades as I want Richard Sherman to be a second string. Apart from that, guys, this is going to be the last game of this rebuild. And I think it would be time to get into the Super Bowl. Here we are in the Super Bowl as it is 21-13 in the third quarter against the Cleveland Browns. Red zone alert, 28-13 against the Cleveland Browns as they are down 2 scores. And red zone alert, 35-13 as we continue to blow them out, 19-35. 1 minute left in the fourth quarter, 27-35, and that will be your ball game as they did come back within a 1-score game. But your Chicago Bears are your Super Bowl champions, back to back, and Baker Mayfield can't believe it. Super disappointed, but Chicago Bears are your Super Bowl champions, and it's time to see the MVP. And your Super Bowl MVP is Khalil Mack. Wow, never really see a defensive player, but 8 tackles, 4 sacks, 0 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. 4 sacks is a lot, so I can see why he got the MVP. And apart from that, guys, I would say it is time to look into the team once again. Thank you guys for watching, and I want to thank you guys once again for continuing to support me throughout the series. I know I came out a lot of stutters there, but again, I really thank you guys for all your support, and I thank you for everything that you've done to help me grow and to continue to produce these types of videos. And I'm running out of a lot of ideas because I have no more teams to rebuild. So if you guys could comment down below what I should do next for a rebuild or anything else, please do, because I need some ideas. And apart from that, guys, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.